as people still slowly trickle in, we'll get started. So welcome to the Sugar House Community Council. Thanks for taking the time to join us tonight. We're going to just get started. We have a packed agenda, so I apologize already. We added a couple more folks as well. We continue to have a few restrictions from the Zoom bombing that's going around, so you won't be allowed to unmute yourselves. So we'll just unmute the presenters as we go. So a couple things first. So the Friends of Fairmont are planning an Earth Day service blitz from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Saturday, April 24th. Everybody is welcome. You can contact Sarah Woosley, 801-485-9626 for all instructions. And we can put that up in the chat. We have two events to announce finally. This Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. is the Sugar House Art Walk. You can check out the Art Walk Facebook or Instagram for details and locations. Please come out and support. And then secondly is the Spring Stroll by Local First Utah. You can go online, localfirstutah.org for details. Mayor Mendenhall is going to give a speech on Monument Plaza on Friday to support this event, and that's at noon. So if we can all attend, that'd be great. Devin just posted the minutes from last month. She's working on her dissertation, so we're giving her a break. So we will approve those next month. So how about a secretary report, Devin?
Oh, there you go. Yes, so I just wanted to remind folks that I'm putting the YouTube recordings in the minutes. And so Eric has been doing a fantastic job of getting those uploaded really quickly. So if you do need some information that's quicker than the next meeting from those minutes, feel free to take a look at the YouTube. Also, if there is something where you miss and you're like, oh, can I get blah, blah, blah email from this? It is taking me a little bit to do the minutes, but if you send me an email and you just need a piece of information from a meeting, I can get that back to you right away. So please do feel free to reach out if you're just looking at the minutes for kind of like a piece of information or something that you need a little more urgently than the next meeting. And I'm happy to get that to you. And if there are any issues with the minutes, please let me know. I've been, as you'll notice, I kind of leave out like the commentary and things like that, but I do try to kind of put the important information. So if you needed to share it with a neighbor or just get the brass tacks of what was happening, you can find those on there. But I'm happy to take any feedback or anything from that. And yeah, thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Mike, how about a treasurer report?
Hello, everybody, trustees and community council members. Yeah, Mike Bagley here with the treasurer report. So our U.S. bank account, we're currently sitting at $13,438.95. Just right before the meeting, checked in with our PayPal account and no new activity there to report. As far as some of the expenses we've had in the last month, we've spent about just south of $270 for some artwork that we're redoing, some watercolor artwork that Lori Braze coordinated with the artist, and that's to replace some artwork that was damaged in the flood of the Sprague Library. So that's been completed, and we can look forward to that. And then as far as some income to our accounts, we pleased to report that we were awarded an Arts Council grant. So that was $1,000 grant. That's half the grant monies, and the other half will be awarded later in the process. And then the other big one is we've received a $2,000 grant from our new owner of the 24-hour fitness location. This is money that he's allocated towards the McClellan Project art mural. So thank you, Michael Augustine, for that generous donation, and thank you for Maggie as well for coordinating all that and getting that going. So I think that's going to go a long ways to improving that McClellan Street project. And that's what I've got. If there's any questions, I'll go ahead and take those.
Thanks, Mike. So I think the Detective Meinzer's on board with us tonight, but we're going to take questions in the chat for him so we can get to a couple of presenters that have to go. So if you guys want to fire off chat questions to him, feel free, and then he'll come on here in a little while. So we're gonna go first with our Michael G. Spotlight on Business. Steve Auerbach from the Music Garage is going to join us. Usually
Am I unmuted?
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm unmuted, huh?
You're good to go.
Okay, I'm glad that you can hear me. I'm here with a board member, Greg Weiniger. Can you say hi? One of our board members is here and want to just introduce him briefly. Greg Weiniger, just give a wave there and say hi. Okay, he's not unmuted, so don't worry about finding him. We'll find Greg later. Thanks for making the meeting. We are Salt Lake Academy of Music, and we are located on 1192 Wilmington Avenue, which is actually behind the Legacy Village building in the alley on the north wall of the Cafe Zupas. So for many years, 10 years, we were musicgarage.org. We formed the new nonprofit SLAM, Salt Lake Academy of Music, in response to an unforeseen need in the community for financial aid for our families. In the 3 years prior to doing that, I gave some 7,000 Uber rides to try to pay for people's tuitions, and it was kind of crazy. So we formed a nonprofit in the fourth quarter of 2019 and opened our new nonprofit music school January 2020. Then what happened, right? So we made it through 2020, which is the great news. And the other great news is that we've got free to fee sliding fee scale instruments and instruction for children that don't have resources. So if they don't have access to musical instruments, we are a resource to give kids instruments that have been donated by community members and then can be shared with the kids and given to them to take home. Can I share my screen, please, whoever is administering? Is that possible? In the meantime, while I wait for the screen share, I want to point out a little bit about what we do. We are a full service music academy. So we teach individual lessons, group lessons. We perform all over the state at various venues. Can you see the screen now with the logo on it?
Yeah.
That's great. So a little brief story about how we got here and what we do, and then I'll get out of the meeting and let you guys get on with your business. But real briefly, we started a national chain of music schools. I was on the startup team for a national chain of rock music schools back in 2005 that I developed till 2008. These are some kids and I in Asbury Park, New Jersey. All those kids have gone on to do great things, and all of our kids really learned some great lessons. One of them in particular, Maddie Rice, who's featured with a little arrow there. You can see her every Saturday night on NBC's Saturday Night Live now. And she was a student with ours many years ago. And we have the same team that is still doing the instruction and the music direction here at SLAM. All of our kids go on to do all kinds of different things. We've got music therapists, TV producers, people that are doctors or engineering students, all kinds of different things. And they all choose a different path. But the one thing that they get to do with music is they get to do it for the rest of their lives. It's not too easy to play football, even though we all love football, when you're 80. And music is something you can do for the rest of your days. In 2009, we created Music Garage. It became the most award-winning after-school music program in Salt Lake County. Our kids had huge opportunities. We did about 3 years of retention with the kids. And on average, they were playing 20 festival shows a year to sometimes as many as 500,000 people in a summer. And they play large venues. This is Deer Valley Amphitheater. We play all the festivals, all the large venues, and those opportunities are available to any child in our community on a free to fee sliding fee scale. We've been recognized by the community and given awards. I'm not going to go into all that. We've had some nice accolades. The beautiful thing about what we do and what really makes us different is that we provide an enormous amount of opportunity that really is disproportional to the size of our organization. And I think that's attributed to the fact that we've been doing it for 16 years now, and people know us, trust us, and like us. And that's a great benefit. The big difference between this and any other program that I've run is that we offer kids musical instruments at no cost, or on a sliding scale at least, as well as instruction and mentorship, as well as all the opportunities. Our goal is to provide a PhD level instructor from our team if the kid deserves it. If the kid has no resources and a child is motivated and shows up for lessons and practices and excels, we want them to be able to choose from the finest teachers available. And we have them on our roster that is ever growing after each week. I think I've got about a minute left. Is that right? Or am I over time, Len?
No, you're fine, Steve.
Cool. Just to introduce you, this is Hannah Thomas Holland. She teaches cello. This is Kim Nolan. These are all, I mean, this is the Curtis Institute graduate. This right here is a Manhattan School of Music graduate. And not that little guy though, but he's on his way. Then we've got Joe Chisholm teaches trombone and other brass. Sam Cottrell teaches guitar. And Aiden Woodward. These are all established musicians in the community that teach. We've been opened after COVID closure early in the game last year. We've been reopened since May 18th without incident. And these are all in person as well as online classes and lessons. And we've had no incident at all here, 100% safety record. This is Georgi Petrov. He just migrated here. He's Bulgarian and he just came here from New Orleans, where he received 2 music degrees after his first undergraduate degree that he got in Bulgaria. And he is a real jazz ace and a phenomenon that we're lucky to have in our community now. And June Crosby is a well-established bluegrass and folk music violinist. She's teaching with us. Of course, my long-term 16-year partner in crime is Terrence Hansen, a real genius of the guitar and working with children to get them to do the extraordinary. This is Chris Shemwell. He is amongst a team of former students who are now teaching for us. So we've got all these kids that are like, it's multi-generational. So we've got staff working for us who used to be students. These are just some pictures of Terrence in action with the kids. Sometimes they're not too happy to hear what he has to say. We're best known for our rock program, but now we're doing classical and jazz and other music. And there's a little picture of me doing some coaching. And the thing that really makes us different is the kids get these huge opportunities and really having a safe place to be. We welcome all kids of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, colors, races, preferences, genders. We're very, very inclusive. And we've always been that way ever since we've been doing this work. And we're so proud to have a nonprofit board that supports us in our mission and a community that's supporting us both with grants to provide the sliding fee scales and other funding, as well as the instruments that we're giving to these kids. This is the Utah Blues Festival from a couple of years back. We're at the Gallivan Center. This is over here by the library. You can see the little pyramid in the background there here in Sugar House. Kids get on the radio, KRCL. Here's a shot from a couple of years ago when we were doing the fireworks at the Sugar House Park. Another Deer Valley shot. We also do workshops. This is a workshop with Daryl Anger, a very famous violin clinician out of Berklee School of Music. And, you know, we have all different programs. We've got lessons, beginner programs for performance, actual performance programs, advanced band programs, and recording programs. And it's all offered right here in Sugar House. We've got a beautiful state-of-the-art facility. That's a picture of Dylan Prush, one of our graduates, teaching a recording class. He was our very first Music Garage student back many years ago, probably 11 years ago. This is our facility, complete with acrylic panels that were donated by both Performance Audio and Delvies Plastics to keep the kids safe during the pandemic. In closing, I just want to say that we've got auditions for kids now available. And this is for a May through September festival program. So any child that sends in a video, and we'll be sending out press releases on all this, and everybody can get the information eventually off our website, but this is breaking news. The auditions are just being announced to the press tomorrow. And these are for all summer long into the early fall, back to school season, for many, many festival gigs that are coming back for the kids now this year. We've already got about a dozen of them on the books, several dates at Deer Valley Amphitheater, Utah Arts Festival, the Craft Lake City Festival, Avenue Street Fair, and so forth. We also have summer camps, and we just want to let you guys know, for the community at large, we're here to be of help. We want to be a resource, and we want to be able to get any child musical instruments and musical instruction that wants it. So I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself and make you aware of us as a resource. And thank you very much for the time.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Do you mind answering some of the questions in the chat? Can you type or just play music?
Okay, you want me to type them back, or should I do them?
I want you to type them back. We're gonna move on to the next presenter. So
all right, I will mute
Thank
myself, just say thank you, and I
Thank
will
you.
answer the questions offline. Thank you.
Thanks for coming again. Offline, I'm gonna call it that now. Thank you. All right, next we're gonna invite Ben McAdams. We mostly invited Ben to come here because we just wanted to thank him for all the hard work he did for the S-Line funding. And I'm gonna let him kind of talk about what he did.
All right, well, thank you, Landon. And I'm sure that people know about it, but want to make sure everybody knows that this legislative session, it's not often we get to thank the Utah legislature for something. So when we do, we should celebrate it. So thank the Utah legislature who made available money to the Sugar House community to extend the S-Line from where it currently ends by Fairmont Aquatic Center to extend it up to the heart of Sugar House, right up there by into the heart of the business district right there. So it's really about a 3-block extension. But as I said to people when we were advocating for this, and let me just say how nice it was to be advocating as a member of the community, not as a mayor or a member of Congress or anything. It was wearing a new hat, which is resident of Sugar House community. And the project made the case for itself. My statement was, we've got like building a staircase, building 80% of a staircase and then wondering why people still take the elevator when you've completed 80%. That's what we've got with the S-Line here. It ends about 1/3 of a mile from the Sugar House Business District, and it really needs to finish that last little bit. So we've got funding through the legislature to complete that segment of the S-Line. It doesn't, just to be clear, it doesn't go along 11th East. I know that was controversial in the past, whether the debate about whether it should go along 11th East or whether it should go up to Sugar House Park. It is just a mini extension that takes it right up to all the housing and shopping and retail that's right there in Sugar House. And I want to give a few shout outs. Mayor Mendenhall was a huge champion for this. Really grateful for her support and leadership, and Amy Fowler. And then our representatives, Gene Davis and Joe Briscoe, were instrumental in helping to get this funding through the legislature. And then I would like to suggest, and we can take this offline as well, but again, like I said, it's not often we get to thank the legislature. And I know as an elected official, it's not often you get thanked. Usually you get yelled at, and when you do something good, people forget about it. So I think it would be worth sending a letter from the community council to our representatives, the ones I just listed, but also to the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, who made this funding possible. And in my experience, that always stood out when somebody took time to say thank you. And I think we should do that, to thank those people who really made this funding possible. And I think it'll be big for our community as we see all the housing that's going in, and all of us complain about the traffic. And you know, we talk about this as we want to make it a community where transit is an option, but it's not an option unless we can get the transit on the doorsteps of all the housing. And if we want people who are coming into all this housing that's coming up in our neighborhood, if we want them to choose to use transit instead of a car, we've got to make it convenient. And so this will really help with that. So that's all.
Thank you, Ben. We're happy to have you back in Salt Lake as a full-time resident. Thank you.
Hey, let me, thank you. I
Please.
forgot too, I just saw here Soren Simonson. This was his baby from before any of us ever thought about it. So Soren, thank you. I know how much you wanted to see it finish that last little bit. So we should also give a thank you to former city council member, but also community advocate, Soren. And let's get together, Soren. Thanks, Landon.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for making the time tonight. So we're going
My
to move
pleasure.
to Julianne Sabula, who worked with Ben McAdams, to talk about the next step.
Yeah, thank you. So this is super exciting for us. Obviously, we were thrilled to build the project as far as it goes now, but yeah, getting it to kind of the front door instead of the back door was the idea all along. And so we're thrilled to have the ability now to do that. It's not really a super long distance, but it really is just sort of that final stretch where people feel like they've arrived. And so, we'll be working on figuring out exactly what that's going to look like. We have, a council adopted alignment that I think the UTA board also adopted. And so we'll look at how, with the resources that we have, we can, really bring the project to the best possible place within the constraints that we have. UTA is going to be leading the project. Obviously, it's a transit project, and the city will be really involved in terms of just expressing kind of the preferences in terms of community context, and also with public outreach, which is always an important thing. In Salt Lake City, people have an expectation to weigh in, excuse me, on these things, and really express kind of the desired results from the project, meeting goals of the community. Megan Waters is here from UTA, and she may have some things to add as well. I know that we're still in sort of the figuring out our path forward. This was a surprise, a very happy surprise for us. And so now we're just getting ourselves organized. But Megan, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add. Oh, it looks like you're muted.
Well done, Brandon.
Hi, thanks. Thanks, Julianne. I don't have a lot more to add, except my role at UT is the community engagement manager, and just wanted to assure the Sugar House Community Council and Sugar House community that there will be a robust community engagement process as we look at options and work with the community to find the best way forward. So I'm looking forward to working with you all and the city in close collaboration as we extend the S-Line.
Awesome. Anything else, guys?
I don't know if anyone has, questions about the project. Landon, if there are questions, obviously I'm happy to answer what I can, or between us. Megan and
Sure. There's a
Jordan.
couple questions in the chat. It looks like George Chapman has his usual stuff, but we're on good terms, so you can answer that in the chat. But if you want to address, it's a huge public process that'll be undertaken now, correct? So we'll do it, whatever we need to do for you guys.
Yeah, I think that the main thing is, so we determined an extension in, I think council adopted it, and maybe Amy is somebody who could correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I think we adopted an alignment, our council adopted an alignment in 2013. And essentially the project extends out to Highland Drive and then up Highland Drive all the way to 1700 South in sort of 3 potential subphases. What I can share is that we have done some, really some engineering and environmental work kind of in the interim. And we've learned a few things about what's feasible and a good use of public dollars. And so what we need to do now is dig into that. The other thing, as I'm sure everyone is extremely well aware, is that there's been a lot of development and change in the community since that time. And so we'll also need to take a look at that and just say, okay, in terms of the land uses and development that's happened, how does that inform this and how do we deliver it in a way that's going to be most effective and just get people where they want to go. So that's really kind of where we go from here. I think it'll be a relatively short process to figure that out because we've been talking about the project for a really long time. But I think it's important to do that and make sure we're up to date.
Great, thank you. Can you unmute Amy? Brandon?
Hi, everybody. I do think, thank you, Julianne. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you forever, so good to see you. And Ben McAdams, I don't know what to call you, if I should call you mayor or congressman or Ben or like, thank you, community activist. So all of the things, so good to see you. I think it's important to note that this $12 million and the expansion at this point in time is only looking at going east. So we're not looking at whether it's going to go north or south. Those expansions, sorry, my very old dog is panting and clacking in the background, but so there's not a conversation right now with this particular money of whether it's going to go north or south. This is only an expansion east. And I think, and Ben may have more on this, or somebody from transportation, excuse me, it may only be up to 1,100. I don't know if it's going all the way up to Highland. I mean, the idea, or the Highland, and I think ultimately we'd love it in lots of different places, but it takes money. But there are other ideas and monies to look at, and as we have seen with the Local Links project that recently came out, and the Local Links study that recently came out, that is a study that's looking at expanding the S-Line going south and what the best practices are. And there will be some, or not best practices, but some ideas of how to expand the S-Line south. And we will have a ton of community input on what that is looking like and what the best option is there. But this particular money is dedicated to going east, and we're not looking at either the north or south right now. That will be another project and probably another push towards both the federal government. I'm winking at you, Ben, with the new $1 trillion amount of infrastructure money to expand the north and south. But really, this is all just going east right now. And if I'm wrong on that, somebody is please free to correct me, but just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I can confirm that, and thank you for that. That's, that has been definitely what has been under discussion. I think there is an interest in going south. There's an adopted alignment going north, and our goal is to extend in such a way that people get closer to where they want to be, but that we don't have throwaway infrastructure. That was a really important thing we learned with some of the, there's always going to be some, right? As soon as you extend further, you're going to have to reconfigure some things, but we want to minimize that. So the best use of public resources is what we're looking for. I think the other thing that's really important in this project is to come up with a design that doesn't preclude those options in the future, that really makes it easy to come in later and go, hopefully both north and south, ideally. So that's really what we'll be seeking, is what is the most cost-effective way to do that also really benefits the community to the greatest extent possible.
Hey, Soren, do you want to make a comment since you were on the council?
Yeah, thank you, Landon, and Julianne and Amy and Megan, Ben. Thank you all for your continued leadership and development of this. Very excited to see this funding from the state legislature. I wanted to give just a little bit of context because I was heavily involved in the original negotiations, particularly with South Salt Lake City when the line was being first envisioned. Before we had spent any money on alternatives analysis and things like that, South Salt Lake had adopted a resolution as a community unanimously opposing light rail or any kind of rail in this corridor. And part of the negotiation with South Salt Lake was, what are the things that South Salt Lake is most missing? And one of them is access to open space. And the reason that they ended up supporting the development of the S line was to connect to Sugar House Park. And that was the original RFP that hired the consultants to do the alternatives analysis. And, you know, leaders have changed and a lot of things have changed. But if you think about all of the housing that's being developed along this line and the things that people do every day that they could use the streetcar for, one of them is connecting to the park. The park is the single highest destination in Sugar House, more than a store or a restaurant or anything else. More people go to the park as a regional destination than anywhere else in Sugar House. And that's an important connection to make. And so while we're thinking about the future, and I know Lynn's working on the local link study and all of that, I think we should continue to remember that not just Salt Lake City is served by this line, and that all of the residents need access to green space and open space, because a lot of these residents don't have their own yard. And what's the one thing they do every day is get exercise, go for a stroll, go for a run, go for a walk the dog, all of those things. And this is a way to facilitate that without adding traffic to the streets. So just wanted to put that bit of context and history as this project has developed back on the table.
Thanks, Soren. All right, guys. Well, thank you. And we look forward to this process. So thank you. Thanks, Julianne, for coming tonight. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
So next we're gonna take a look at Mill Creek's plan. It's all kind of working together. So we're gonna have John Miller introduce, I think Francis Lilly is here, who is the Director of Planning for Mill Creek. John Miller's Director of Public Works, I believe. And then we'll have Lynn Jacobs also join us. We're gonna talk about Mill Creek's plan. We're also gonna talk about Highland Drive. Francis or John, you guys wanna start? Oh, awesome kids in the background.
Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Hi. Okay, great. So I accidentally remuted myself, so I had to get permission again. Sorry about that. I was wondering if someone could kindly share with me or allow me to share a screen, or can I do that now? Good.
Go ahead, Francis. You should be able to share now.
Can you all see the screen? It shows a map of Mill Creek Common.
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, so my name is Francis Lilly. I have the privilege of being Mill Creek's planning director. And when when Mill Creek Incorporated, we were immediately confronted with a problem, and it's a problem that I think you all are familiar with in Sugar House, and that is, you know, how do you harness this extraordinary demand for housing into really something of value for the community? And the way that problem manifested itself in the area around 33rd South between 13th East and Highland Drive was, you know, a lot of proposals for developments on disaggregated sites, a lot of infill projects that didn't make sense without much regard to, you know, the connective tissue of good streets and great places as well. There was another problem in this site, really in the form of a fault line that actually runs kind of north and northwest from 3300 South, and then crosses over into Salt Lake City just south of Miller Avenue, and kind of veers toward McClelland, or what becomes the McClelland Trail. And of course, you know, engineering rules and our own kind of geologic hazard ordinance created a situation where you had this buffer zone in the middle of the project where you can't build anything. And our answer to both the problem of, you know, developing in a way that can provide something of value to the community and addressing the fault line problem was to essentially develop a park and a plaza that runs along the fault line where you can't build anyway, And honestly, the developers and landowners were happy that the city would take on this property. And the goal also broke up the blocks, created new frontages, created a new pedestrian-friendly environment, and created the opportunities for new assemblages of land. So it was actually a pretty exciting prospect, if kind of an expensive one. But we went through a community master planning process where we adopted first a general plan that said, hey, we would like to see a downtown here. And this downtown, this city center, if you will, should be more than just a residential village. It actually should be a point of pride for the community and provide some interesting community amenities. The next step, thanks to some extensive support from the Wasatch Front Regional Council, was to develop specifically a city center master plan, which spelled out road widths and how surface parking would work, how on-street parking would work, what sort of amenities we would like in our public space, what sort of design standards would be appropriate for the buildings around, what sort of uses would be feasible as well. And the result is, after that master plan and the general plan was a sales tax revenue bond that the city council passed a couple of years ago that provided $20 million for us to acquire land, write down some of the development costs, and also design and develop the first phase of this park, which is south of 3205 South, what we're now calling Chambers Avenue, in honor of Mill Creek's first Black pioneers, which came along with most of the Latter-day Saint pioneers in the 1840s, late 1840s, and settled here. So Chambers Avenue is going to be the new heart of Mill Creek City, and quite possibly on the corner of Mill Creek Common, which is the open space at the bottom of this diagram, and Chambers Avenue, you may see a new city hall and a small public marketplace modeled after a similar project in Lenexa, Kansas, that we're all very excited about. We see the Mill Creek Common as a great place to incubate and grow local businesses, and so we're actively courting local businesses, working with developers to create spaces that are amenable to local businesses, and hopefully balance the incentives toward them and away from chain retail that while produces greater rent, also doesn't give you the sense of community and the sense of place that a well-organized and well thought out mix of local tenants, both new talent and faces and people and places and organizations that we recognize in the community, can really bring to a place. On either side of Mill Creek Common, you will have two laneways, similar to the type of experience that you might have on Regent Street in downtown Salt Lake, where there will be some surface parking or some angled parking, but really it's aligned by an alley of trees on either side. And in the center is what's really a very traditional model that you see all around the world, of a predominantly hardscape plaza, very simple design, not a lot of not a lot of variation in elevation or anything like that. But the idea is that this is a place where people can gather and where we can also organize other events. One thing that Sugar House residents may be interested in is a pretty substantial ice ribbon, which is a type of ice rink that will be one of the anchor uses along the plaza. And south of the ice ribbon will be a small kiosk where we intend to incubate a couple local businesses to provide something like pizza and coffee and ice cream and those types of things. That's first phase, and it's under construction now. Development is happening around it. Just to the north of this diagram, the city recently entitled 600 units of multifamily housing and 40,000 square feet of ground floor retail that has a pretty transformative effect on what we call Villa Vista Avenue. It used to be called Gunn Avenue, but we renamed that in recent years. And that development actually funded an effort to improve the Mount Air streetscape, which is, you would probably recognize it as the ad hoc used car lot across the street from the Villa Theater on Highland Drive that occasionally caught fire. That's the place. And now it's going to be essentially a landscaped butterfly garden with trees, pedestrian lighting, enhanced bus stops, and a monument sign that says, "Welcome to Mill Creek." In the long run, we hope to actually share in the goal of Salt Lake City to reduce the travel lanes on Highland Drive from 4 to 3, 1 lane in each direction with a turn lane that allows for, left turns either going eastbound or westbound throughout much of the corridor. We found after talking with businesses that this is something that businesses would actually prefer along our run of Highland Drive. And as soon as Salt Lake City Transportation comes up with a timeline to do their section, we will do ours as well. Because the last thing you want is a road that goes from 2 lanes to 3 lanes to 4 lanes to 3 to 4. And so that's essentially what we're doing. The goal for phase 1 for Mill Creek Common is to have it complete by Christmas. So we hope to have skaters and pizza eaters and the like enjoying Mill Creek Common certainly no later than January 2022. And yeah, I don't know if you have any other questions for me, but that's really what I wanted to share with you.
That is awesome. We'll take most of the questions in the chat if that's okay, Francis, and then we'll have Lane kind of talk about the Salt Lake City side of things on Highland Drive. But
Excellent.
I think your city center looks amazing.
Yeah. Brandon, could you allow me to share my screen so I can share our presentation of what we're planning on doing with Highland Drive in coordination with this development that Mill Creek is working on?
Go ahead, Lane, you can share now.
All right, here we go. Hopefully I can get everything to work well. Never know with technology. Can you see my screen, my PowerPoint?
Yeah, your date's wrong. 2012 was a long time ago. But...
Oh my gosh. Good eye, Landon. Although I think after this year that we've had, I wouldn't mind going back to 2000. So I'm sure you all probably feel the same way. Well, I just wanted to share with you tonight what we're looking to do on Highland Drive in coordination with this work that Mill Creek has just presented to you. As Francis mentioned, they're looking at changing their section of Highland Drive from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. And we would like to match that and actually carry that all the way through to around Warnock, Driggs Avenue area. And then essentially north of that is where our limits of our full reconstruction will be in 2023 when we come back and completely rebuild the roadway. So that reconstruction project will be starting a concept design and civic engagement effort here within the next couple of months. And we'll want a lot of involvement from this group and from those on this call as we go through that process. Obviously, as that being a full reconstruction, we'll have a lot more chances to look at what we can do to make that roadway up there better, especially after, all of our canal project and everything that's going on is done. So tonight, I really wanted to focus on this resurfacing project. We are looking to do a chip seal on this roadway in about a month and a half. So it's coming up on us really fast. I think we've mentioned this idea previously in this call. And then we've also, last year we were looking to do it and then we postponed it to this year. So hopefully this is not a surprise for anyone. It's something we've talked about off and on with this group for at least a year now and within the transportation committee as well. Which we'll be back presenting to them here in a few weeks. So the project scope, this is a chip seal. So it's really an opportunity for us to revisit our striping on the roadway and maybe add some signs and some other minor modifications, but it's not really an opportunity for us to go in and to modify the roadway width or sidewalk or change curb and gutter or add ADA ramps or things like that. It's just, we don't have any budget to do any of those things. This is really a maintenance project where they come in and put a chip seal down. And whenever they do that, it completely obliterates the striping and gives us a chance to kind of revisit what we're doing on this road and think about how to make it better. So our goals as we look at this resurfacing is that we wanted to look at this to see if there's anything we can do to further enhance walking and biking on this roadway, knowing that that is a critical goal of the Sugar House Master Plan and all the planning documents that we have in the area, and of frankly of this group and the Transportation Committee as well. We also were focused on the recommendations that came out of the circulation study we did as part of our local link study last year. We got that out there. We got a lot of great comments back on that. We've got about, I don't know, about 500 or 600 responses to our results and our recommendations. And, you know, frankly, what the recommendation out of that study was, is to look at adding bike lanes on Highland Drive to improve circulation between Sugar House and this new development that Mill Creek's doing downtown that we just talked about. To that end, I wanted to extract one piece of data from that extensive study. This is our bike travel shed. And essentially, if you look, there's concentric rings. Here, let me get my laser pointer working. So essentially, we took from the monument at Sugar House Plaza, how far could you comfortably ride a bike in 5, 10, and 15 minutes? And what you expect to see with a diagram like this is nice circles or diamonds, kind of a nice even shape. But as you can see, there's this big gap missing right here where Brickyard is and where Mill Creek's new city center is. And that's because there really isn't a good bike facility that connects downtown Sugar House to this area, which is what led to our recommendation to do exactly what we're talking about doing tonight. And that is to improve our bike and pedestrian facilities between these two, enabling people to get around with other choices than just driving. There's a number of cross sections that we've developed. There's a couple different pieces of Highland Drive, I think has been mentioned in the chat. North of 2700 South, the road looks like this. There are 2 travel lanes with parking on either side and sidewalks. Near 2700 South and further south, it becomes 4 lanes. And so we've kind of made some recommendations to look at how could we go from 4 lanes to 3 lanes, 4 lanes to, 2 lanes with parking to 2 lanes with still parking on one side of the street, adding bike lanes. And then again, 4 lanes to 3 lanes, matching what Mill Creek has shown. So essentially 1 travel lane in each direction, parking on and off again, bike lanes throughout is what was recommended from the local link study. So with that, we've gone through and done some more engineering to look at this roadway. This is kind of an aerial view of what a section of Highland Drive just north of 2700 South looks like today. Again, 2 lanes, parking on either side of the street. This is what it would look like after our chip seal, where we've eliminated parking on the west side of the street, retained it on the east side of the street, and then shifted the roadway over to add the 2 bike lanes. This is what it would look like in that area, kind of north of 27th up to I-80. And then south of there, then it goes to that 3-lane cross section. So for instance, this is what it would look like as we approach that intersection at 2700 South and Highland. We flip it around a little bit here. So in this area, just near 27th South, we actually flipped the parking and retained it on the west side of the roadway. Right now, the old Dutch store and Backyard Birds has some on-street parking that's really critical to their business operations right in front of their front door. And so we wanted to retain that parking. And so in this block, we kind of flip-flopped it around and then develop a left turn pocket, which we currently don't have for southbound traffic and for northbound traffic. Today, essentially, it's 2 lanes in each direction, and those left turns are shared with a through lane, which is always problematic for us at the city. We always run into higher crash rates and a real impact on the efficiency of the traffic signal. Whenever we operate a 4-lane road like that through a traffic signal, it just doesn't work nearly as well as it could. So we're planning on making this change. We have a future project that's coming in a year or 2 that will completely rebuild this traffic signal. It's one of the old Spanwire style signals, and we are working feverishly on getting that in the hopper to get built and redone. When we do that, we'll get the opportunity to change some of our signal equipment, and we'll actually be able to run this signal a lot more efficiently than it does today, because we'll be able to make it so that, we don't have this really inefficient signal phasing that is currently out there. So frankly, we've got to make this first step so that we can get to the 3-lane configuration with the segregated left turns, so that when we come back to do that signal project, we can operate this more efficiently than it currently does. And that should improve how this functions for all roadway users, cars, bikes, everybody, peds. That unfortunately is still a year or two away. We've got to take advantage of the opportunity to restripe now, because when we come back with the signal project, it's just going to be a signal project. So it's kind of hard. You got to do it. It's a chicken and egg dance, right? And so this is our opportunity to get out there and kind of get this first improvement in, so that we can move on to the next one. The next slide I wanted to show is what we look like when we get to the 13th East and Highland intersection. Again, 3-lane cross section, bike lanes on either side. We recognize that this free right is challenging for anyone to get across. So we're looking into hopefully doing some additional green striping in here, just to really make that conflict really clear and obvious to everyone. So that's something that we're certainly looking at trying to improve. And then this would extend down to the boundary with Mill Creek. And then the arrangement we have with Mill Creek is that they would do from here down to 33rd, or from their boundary down to 33rd. It may not happen on exactly the same day, but it's all going to happen within a very short time period of each other. Okay, so I've shown you all of this. The last thing I wanted to just say is, how can you help? We have a survey open right now, and it's a really, really brief survey. Essentially what you do is, we have a lot of surface treatments all over the city. You will come to this web page. I'll put the link in the chat, so you don't have to hurry and jot down all these numbers. And then when you get here, go to the select surface treatment project, you select Highland Drive, and they'll ask you for a little bit of information about who you are, just so we know who's taking the survey. And then it's just really open-ended, and it's really, frankly, tell us what you think about what we're doing. And we wanted to keep it really simple. I know that as a city, we do a lot of surveys, so we're trying to really simplify them and make it easier for you to just take. So frankly, where we're at right now is, this is our current plan, our proposal to do on this roadway, but we're still taking comment, and this is not a decided, this is not a done deal yet, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And we definitely want to hear from you as the public, hear about your concerns, see if there's anything we can do to address those concerns. But this is the direction that we're headed based on all of our previous studies, all the work that's been done, and the current data that we have out there. I see lots and lots of questions in the chat. I plan on answering as many of those as I can offline. So
Thank you, Lynn. Lynn, we'll be seeing you for like the next 6 months, right?
I think so. I think hopefully you guys don't hate my voice, because I'll be here quite a bit for the next little bit.
All right, thank you. Thanks for answering those questions. Thanks, Francis, for coming, man. It looks great.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Okay, we're gonna unmute Bill Knowles and Blake Thomas for a sec. Bill, you on?
Yeah, I am on, as a matter of fact.
Blake, are you?
Yeah, looks like I just got unmuted. Happy.
You guys arm wrestle to who goes first.
Bill, I'll defer to you. I kind of am popping on last minute.
Oh, I am not going to take credit. This is your deal. We wanted to talk. We've had a lot of over the last 8 or 9 months, I guess 7 or 8 months back to September, discussion about the relatively small but impactful project on 11th East, trying to fix that storm drain situation there. And there was obviously some questions about what the timing ought to be, and with the pandemic situation and everybody suffering through the last year now, was that a good time to do that when we had another project coming 2 years down the road? And I have to say that we had another conversation the other day with Scott Little down at the Tizanti, and Blake has stepped in and stepped up, I guess better stated, to shift that project back to where we're going to be looking at doing the whole thing 2 years from now, and not be maybe appearing to pile on. It certainly was no intention to pile on, but it would have felt that way if you were a business in that stretch of the road. And it was going to be a pretty tough thing getting all of the work done there that was needed without having some impacts. And you sure as hell have had enough. So we've had got a little more, some questions from Scott here a few days ago. And actually it goes back a couple of weeks, I guess, the email string. But Blake has stepped in. I got to give it to you. You stepped in and stepped up and went to work here yesterday very seriously at saying, I don't think this is a good idea or necessary to do this work right now. Why don't we give it a break and step back and come and do the whole project 2 years from now? And I think that's going to be good news to a lot of people. And it's really not going to be a painful thing in terms of the cost of that. So I think it's a question of the city listening to some good people's concerns and responding in a way that they determine with a little extra work and a little effort, they can make it work. And I think that Blake, I've said a lot. How about you stepping in and telling a little bit about the process and maybe what is going to be coming up down the road?
Sure, yeah. So just really briefly, there was a CIP funded project that was slated to kick off in the next week or two on a small portion of 1100 East. And the component about it that gave me a little bit of heartache as it relates to our small businesses along that corridor and trying to mitigate as much construction as we can while we're trying to come out of the pandemic. There is a broader, larger reconstruction project occurring, as Bill mentioned, in 2023. So we were fortunately able to look at what our administrative options were. So I just want to say thanks to the businesses, Landon and the council and anyone else that chimed in on that in terms of the pinch point that project happening right now would cause. So happy to report that we're able to combine that effort with the broader 2023 project so that we're able to just have one big project in disruption. And I would also want to give kudos to Mayor Mendenhall for the green light, and then also Council Chair Fowler for being supportive of that, as well as one of the people that I needed a thumbs up from to be able to move forward with that. So thanks.
So Blake, if I can chime in here, I put together some slides for this actually. We were doing the public outreach. We were hired to do some public outreach on this project. And we went out and delivered flyers on the 25th. And I know it sparked some conversation, but we had some really great conversation with these business owners that were on that corridor, and people are very engaged. And so we really appreciate that. And so we will be notifying these businesses via email, as well as some hand delivered flyers, just to kind of go door to door and close that loop and let everybody know what has been decided. And then, like you said, the Salt Lake City Transportation Department is working on getting together that concept design. So we'll be working on that project as well. And as we move forward on that, we will continue working with those business owners. So we really wanted to make sure that we close the loop on this and kind of start building that trust with those businesses, because we're kind of in it for the long haul here over the next few years until that larger reconstruction project is finished. So yeah, thanks for putting all of that together and allowing us to share this tonight.
Well, thanks to Bill, thanks to Blake, thanks to the Sugar House Chamber, thanks to everybody for all their work. And I know it means a lot to the small businesses. So thanks for listening. But go ahead, Tiffany. She's going to talk about the canal update. Thanks, Blake.
I'm just going to keep talking. You guys get me for a minute. So we are working on this canal project, Highland Drive. I know you guys have probably all driven through there. It's been a little messy. We've got it. For those of you who aren't aware of it, we are reconstructing the 100-year-old canal that is underneath Highland Drive. There are sections of it that have already been replaced. That's these green. And then the parts that we are taking care of is this blue. And so this goes down almost to I-80 here. We have recently done that work that you saw there underneath Wilmington. And next they will be doing some paving and concrete work, and then they'll finish with some landscaping improvements. So we are expecting to finish in June. The bulk of the roadway work will be done when they finish the paving. And so we are a few weeks out from that, and we'll let you know when that's coming. And from there, it'll be mostly in the shoulders, working on the landscaping. Just a reminder about the trees. We did remove some trees on that project. Those trees will be replaced with that larger reconstruction project in 2023. And so we want people to know, yes, we took them out. It doesn't make any sense for us to put them back in now. They will not make it through the reconstruction project. So those are coming later, not with these landscape improvements on this project. We got Wilmington open. That was our big hooray since we spoke last month. And thanks for hanging in there with us on that. I know that was kind of a rough one. So this project has been pretty quiet. We haven't heard a lot from people on our hotline or our email. We're hearing a lot more when we go out and visit and talk to people. And but we are here to listen and answer any questions or concerns that come up. And if there's any issues with how it's going out there, we have a direct line to the contractor. So let us know if there's anything we can help with.
Thank you. And thanks for always keeping us updated.
Yeah, of course.
We'll be seeing a lot of you.
I'll be around for a minute or two.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're just going to keep it rolling. So next we have the UDOT team, Rebecca Stromness, Katie, I think Molly's on. So they're going to talk about the I-80 construction.
Yes, Brandon, do you mind if I could share my screen?
It's Katie, Brandon.
Yeah, Katie K. Cool, thank you. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, everybody should be able to see that there. Thank you so much, you guys, for the time today and for having us tonight. Like I mentioned, Katie Corianos, I'm working with UDOT on the public outreach and information for an upcoming reconstruction of I-80 in Sugar House and also I-215 on the East Belt. I'm here with Becky Stromness. She's our project manager from UDOT, and Molly Biederbenner is on our team as well for public outreach. And so we just want to share some updates tonight and some details about the upcoming construction that will be pertinent for you guys to know as you live nearby and travel through the area. So we'll go ahead and just kind of jump into things. This is an outline of the items that we plan on touching on tonight. Of course, if you've got questions, throw them in the chat. We'll be monitoring that and can answer those as well. But the last time that we were here with you guys, gosh, was last summer now already. I think we were in the thick of kind of the pre-construction phase, and we were preparing to put out this big project to the contracting community to bid on. So since then, a contractor has been selected. And with that selection, that means we have some more details about really what you can expect as a result of their work and a general time frame for what's going to happen and when as part of this big reconstruction project. So as it stands now, we're looking to get started with major work in about mid to late May of this year. So next month, coming up quick. And we anticipate right now that the project's going to last through late 2022 for 2 full construction seasons. So I'm just going to set the stage that way for now, but I'll turn it over to Becky, again, our project manager, to give us a quick kind of refresher on the overall scope of the project for anybody who might not be familiar with it. And then we'll move into some details about exactly what to expect, both on the interstate as well as those cross streets in Sugar House over the next couple of years.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, so for those that aren't familiar, here's a map just showing a brief overview I'll touch on for you. We have 2 project segments. The first is on Interstate 80, and our limits here are from 1300 East to just east of 23rd East, where the interstate splits and or comes together with I-80 215, depending on the direction you're traveling. Along this stretch, the intent is to replace the aging infrastructure. That's the whole point of the project. The ride out there is pretty rough. So we will be removing the concrete pavement and putting back new concrete pavement. And then we will be replacing the bridges. So where you see the red marks is the bridge replacements. That's at 13th, 17th, and 20th East. And then where the green symbol is, that's representing 23rd East. And in this location, we're just doing a bridge widening. And we're doing a bridge widening because we are adding one additional lane in the eastbound direction, shown in orange. So we'll end up with 4 lanes in the eastbound direction and 3 in the westbound direction. Then if we want to jump over to 215, we are just doing the pavement replacement over here. And our limits are from about 33rd South, and we just go a little bit south of 4500 South. Both these segments on I-80 and 215, it does include replacing the pavement on the on and off ramps as well. So the ramps are included as part of the project. So hopefully that helps give you an idea of the overall part of the project. So if we want to talk a little bit about what to expect with traffic and closures, I feel like I have good news. If you look at this figure and study the green arrows, those are representing the lanes of traffic. And our contractor is going to be able to provide 3 lanes in each direction. So that's what exists today. So we're not losing any lanes. We'll have all 3 lanes in both directions, eastbound and westbound. And those lanes will be open to everyone during the daytime hours. At night, you should expect to see lane closures in the overnight hours. Those typically run from about 9, 10 o'clock to about 5:30 in the morning. So everything's open for everyone in the morning commute. So everyone can get where they need to go. So we're super excited to have all the lanes open throughout the duration. It is kind of tricky to rebuild a road with the same capacity and keep all the lanes open. So we're excited to have that. All right, let's talk a little bit specifically more about 17th and 13th. So we'll begin with 17th East. So again, I'm feeling very optimistic that our contractor was able to come up with a solution to replace this bridge with very few closures. So what they're planning to do is build the new bridge directly to the side of this bridge. And then we'll have a weekend closure where they demolish and take down the old bridge, and then they'll push the new bridge or slide it into position. So with a weekend closure, we'll take out the old and put in the new. We're expecting this to occur right around the start of school, right before school starts. So sometime in the August timeframe. We don't have specific dates yet, but obviously as we get closer, we'll be messaging and making sure everyone is aware of what weekend this will be occurring on. If we want to jump over to 13th, it's going to be a similar situation over there where they plan to build the new bridge to the side and then on a weekend closure, take out the old and slide the new one in. This one's expected to happen after 17th, more in the fall timeframe. I'm estimating somewhere around October, but again, we don't know those exact dates. And we'll get them, you know, obviously as we get closer and see how the construction's progressing. So the last thing I wanted to touch on is there's the sign that Sugar House Community helped develop. This is going to be placed on the bridge, both eastbound and westbound direction at 1300 East. So that will be nice. Lots of fun things represented in the sign. So we're looking forward to that. All right.
One thing I just wanted to touch on, I know obviously there's a lot going on in Sugar House transportation wise, as we've heard tonight, and for several months since I've been here, and I know there's a lot upcoming. So something that we've done is kind of partnered with Salt Lake City to try to combine in one place, somewhere that you guys could see our UDOT project, our big reconstruction project in the middle of everything, as well as all of the planned transportation projects on city streets over the next 5 years, really between now and 2025. So there's a place on our website, and Molly's going to put our website link in the chat for us. But if you guys are interested in that, there's the ability to take a look at our website, click on the nearby projects tab, and you can kind of turn off the layers for different years between now and 2025 and see the different projects and click on the lines of the projects to get more information about what to expect. So that's just a little thing we put together. If it's helpful for you as you're checking out information to understand what's going on in Sugar House, this has been developed as kind of a custom tool for you to be able to navigate. And really quick, want to wrap up with a couple of things. So we've set up project-specific contact information. We've shared this with you guys before. Please hold on to this. We encourage you to contact us at any time. You'll be able to reach our public information team all the way through the end of construction. And our team is really in daily communication with the contractor already. We haven't really even started yet, and we're already talking to him quite a bit about what's going on out there and how we can make sure you guys know what's going on. So these are the information, the hotline, it's 24/7. This is a project that will work pretty much daytime and nighttime all the way through the next couple of years. So if you have questions, concerns, any issues that we can help address, you can contact us there at that email and that phone number. Information, of course, is on the website as well. And a couple of other things that I wanted to show you guys that's specific to this project are some additional tools to get information kind of in real time. So our communications team will be providing project information and notices through a variety of several different channels, depending on who we're trying to reach and depending on what's going on with the project. So you can expect really to see everything from social media updates, newsletter blurbs, door hangers, mailers, some of those things. If you live close to the interstate, you'll be getting quite a bit from us, kind of door to door. But one of the best ways that the broader kind of public, can stay up to date is by going to our website and signing up for text alerts and for email updates. We plan to send some direct text alerts for things like those closures of 13th East or 1700 East as we move those new bridges into place. So any major traffic changes or planned impacts, we will send out text alerts to those who have opted in. And we'll also send them out if something went not according to plan and we might have the major unplanned delays on I-80 or on I-215. So that's an option there. You can customize those text alerts so that you only get them for the areas of the road that you're worried about. And you can also customize your preferences for email updates. We won't spam you with a ton of email updates. We'll only send them when they're super important and there's something that's going to change your day to day. So if you see something from us that's important. And I'm seeing a couple of questions in the chat.
Katie, do you guys mind answering those in the chat for us?
You got it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. We appreciate the time for this. We'll have more information coming out, but like we've said, expect to see us really out there next month getting going on the project.
Thank you. Thanks for always keeping us updated, and thanks for the sign panel.
Thanks for working with us on that. I think you guys really did something cool, kind of different and special.
Thanks for saying yes. So thank you.
Okay,
next we're going to have Detective Meinzer.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Detective Nate Meinzer. I cover districts 5, 6, and 7. I do the community liaison stuff. So I kind of wanted to real quick update everybody on what the police department is doing in District 7. Give you a short little bit about stats. I know that that's not the most appealing thing, but I'll just jump right into it. So first and foremost, the approach that I've been taking with District 7 is for our patrol officers is larceny has been up in all 3 of my districts previously. So I've been taking maps of all the data to show where our hotspots are, what times of day and what day of the week is kind of like that hotspot. And I've been getting that out to our patrol sergeants who have their officers in between calls, drive through areas, try and write reports in areas. And it has been being pretty effective. So the stats for the last 28 days were actually for car prowls, we're down 19.7% compared to our 5-year average. and our general larceny is down 29.1% from the 5-year average. So the other things that we're working on right now, so I've been getting a lot of calls in the area of 2148 South, 900 East. There's a camp that's kind of coming into fruition there that we're working on. Our bike squad's been out there. There's been some calls for service, some safety concerns and things like that. So we're starting to hit that area a little bit more. I know that previously it had been a lot along 800 East and 21st South. So thank you for those people that have been calling and kind of keeping me up to date on where you're seeing this type of activity. We are doing a health department cleanup tomorrow at Fellowship Hall. So the police department will be there assisting them with that. There's some more garbage and stuff, graffiti, things like that that's going on, but we're trying to do what we can to help reduce those camps and these types of issues. And then another issue that we've been kind of working on as well. So I'm having some reports of Sugar House Park is having a little bit of an increase in drug use and kind of some camping out, things like that, and some other things. So our park squad typically works in the evenings. So I've actually gotten it approved to have our normal bike squads come through during the morning times. So we'll have both bike squads working in conjunction with each other to try and help lower those issues to keep the park safe for everybody, especially as we're coming into summer. We want to be able to have a safe environment for all of our folks to go and have some fun. So I don't have any other things to update other than that. If we have any questions, I'm guessing you'll have me answer in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions at this time?
Thank you. Thanks for coming. And thanks for always getting back to everybody. I mean, we keep hearing that you've done an amazing job. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I try and be available for everybody. So, and
yeah, well done.
I'll put my information in the chat. Reach out anytime if you have questions. You don't think that maybe it requires a police response and you just kind of want to be more informed, don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. Okay, Brandon, let's get a Sprague Library update from Sheree.
Hi, everybody. I am really excited to announce our official opening date of the renovated building is going to be May 3rd. And on May 1st, we're looking at doing a ribbon cutting. So we're working with the mayor. That's the tentative date right now for ribbon cutting. Next week, we are going, or actually the next 2 weeks, April 12th through the 23rd, we are having city officials and dignitaries scheduled tours to come and see the building. And I'm pretty sure we sent out the link to all the Sugar House Community Council trustees and everybody. So if you did get that link, sign up. We would love for you to come and do a tour. And the reason we're doing scheduled tours is just to, you know, keep the COVID numbers down, you know, hopefully, you know, not have anything happen while that's going on. So officially our last date in the firehouse will be May 3rd, or I'm sorry, May 1st. And then we'll be over at Sprague May 3rd. So hopefully we hope to see you soon. That's all I've got. Thank you, Landon.
I can't wait to meet in person. Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed some of y'all have already signed up, so I'm excited to see you there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Maggie.
I thought you said Maggie.
Sorry, I talk like I'm from Utah.
Hold on. Hi, everybody. First off, I want to say apologies. I've kind of missed some meetings. I work at the Utah Museum of Fine Arts, and Wednesdays are our free days. And so we typically have programming for the community on those nights, which lines up with this meeting. So I just wanted to start with that. But a really big update on the McClellan Street mural project. I just want to update you all on that. The McClellan Street project itself is actually, it was supposed to happen this spring, but it's not going to be taking place until maybe fall or spring 2022, who knows, but we've had to reallocate our grant funds that we received from the Salt Lake Arts Council for that project. And so what we've done is we've actually kind of teamed up with other community organizations to create an even larger arts project for the Sugar House community, which I'm really, really excited about. And just one quick note, we are going to reapply to add street murals to the McClellan Street project when that project starts again. So we'll just do it when that timeline is official. So what we've done is, I'm the chair of the Arts and Culture Committee. I should probably qualify that really quick so you all know what I'm talking about, trustee on this council as well. So the Arts and Culture Committee decided to team up with the Sugar House Chamber and the Living Museum of Sugar House to put all of our Salt Lake Arts Council and ACE Funds grants together in order to create what we're now calling the Sugar House Mural Project. And what we're hoping to do, well, what we will do, we need to get some funding, additional funding still, is to add new vibrant and amazing murals, hopefully 3 of them, 2 to 3 of them, in the Sugar House Business District this summer, followed by a community celebration during the Sugar House Art Walk on August 13th, and we'll have a mural walk and live music, and hopefully be able to promote local businesses as well. One of the things that we're hoping to do with projects like this is to create a more vibrant community that people want to come to and spend time in and spend their money at our local businesses. So we're hoping that this project will add to that objective that we have, which is why we're so happy to be partnering with the Sugar House Chamber on this, because they can help us really make sure that the businesses are benefiting from this, as well as local artists and the Sugar House Art Walk. And I should say too, that the celebration during the Sugar House Art Walk is going to replace the Backyard Bash this year. So that's going to be our big annual community celebration. So like I said, we're kind of tying all these things together. And I really quickly want to thank, again, I know Mike Bagley thanked Michael Augustine with the Alta Terra Real Estate for donating $2,000 to this project. We're almost halfway to our funding goal. We do have to raise matching funds for the grants that we've received. So we do need to raise another $2,000 or more, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. Murals cost a lot of money, and we do want to pay artists a very fair and equitable wage for creating these murals for us. So please join us on Monday if you want to be a part of this conversation. We have our Arts and Culture Committee meeting where we're going to talk about timeline. We're going to talk about themes. We want to make sure that these murals represent Sugar House, that they align with our community aesthetic and our values and our history and our culture and the things that we care about. And let's see, what else am I missing? Oh, I'm going to put in the chat an email. We set up an email. It's shmuralproject@gmail.com. If you have suggestions for a wall in the business district, please let us know. If you're a business that is interested in us considering putting a mural on the side of your building, let us know. And please email us at that email. I'll put it in the chat. We're not going to be able to, really the budget's going to define what we're able to do, but any suggestions, please send them our way. Let's see, what else am I missing? I think that's all for now. So I'll put, I'm also going to put in the chat, I'm going to put the email for the project. I'm also going to put in the chat our donation page. If anybody wants to donate right now, to this project, we would love that. We are going to, do some campaigning online and, get some folks together to help us raise some additional funds for this project. But if you're so inclined right now, please donate and make sure this will go through PayPal, the link I'm putting up. Make sure you put mural in the comments or Sugar House mural project so that we know that it goes to that project. And again, please join our Arts and Culture Committee meeting on Monday. And I'm going to be reaching out to some of you specifically to help with this. I think Dana and Landon are going to help with the community celebration, getting live music, and it's going to be super great. So I probably missed something. That's all I have. I'll put those links in the comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie. Thank you. All right, next we'll go to Councilwoman Amy Fowler.
Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone. Let's see, where are we at? Well, we got through the legislative session, thank goodness. Only a few things that may have affected or will affect Salt Lake City. But the good news, as I was sort of hinting to earlier when Ben was on the line, is that the city has $87 million coming to us through the American Recovery Act. And President Biden just signed, I can't even remember how many trillion, 1.7, maybe more than that, trillion dollars in the infrastructure bill. And while the city council was in DC in a conference, and I put that in quotes because it was all virtual, and we met with all of our federal delegation virtually. We talked about infrastructure and I continued to bring up the S line and how this is actually an important part of the city, and hopefully trying to get a little bit planting the seed of how much we need the infrastructure money within Salt Lake City. So there's that. And now we are headed straight into budget season. It's April already, which means that's coming really quickly. So we'll be expecting to spend all of May and June looking at the budget. As many of you know, we have done an audit on the police budget, and we have one report that just came in. It was looking at the financial part of things versus sort of the structural part of things. So we will be evaluating that as part of this year's budget. Gosh, I'm trying to think. There feels like there's been so much. Today, we had a press conference that Salt Lake City will be extending the mask mandate. And the council supports the mask mandate. So although the state will be ending the mask mandate on April 10th, which is on Saturday. Sorry, I keep looking up at my calendar. Which is on Saturday, the mayor has issued an emergency, using her emergency proclamation powers, and I'm sure Tim Cosgrove, who I see his tile on the call, will also talk about, but the council supports the extension of a mask mandate within public spaces. This, essentially nothing will change. It's wear your mask. Wear a mask when you go into a restaurant, into the grocery store, into the library, wherever you go, wear your mask. When you sit down, you can take your mask off to eat and drink. If you're out in public places, we encourage mask wearing if you're with other people. So it's really just continuing exactly what we're doing. And there are several reasons for this. And there is not at this point a deadline where we're saying we're going to stop it at X day. The mayor's office will be working with health administrators to look at the data and determine when it is appropriate, or when we feel that the numbers are low enough that people are vaccinated enough that we can say, okay, we're okay loosening the mask mandate. And Tim, if I'm taking over any of your talking points, you can just wave your hand and tell me to be quiet and I can talk about something else. But the council does support this, and the numbers are showing that we're plateauing and not decreasing anymore. And we know that through masks and social distancing that we are able to continue the decline of the numbers of COVID cases. And so really it is important that we continue the mask mandate right now. And I think if anybody saw the press release, Matt Caputo did an amazing job talking about how not having a mask mandate affects our small businesses and our essential workers, like grocery store workers, post office workers, restaurants, bars, that when it's just a policy, you get angry customers that come in and say, well, your policy is dumb, and you're still a small business trying to say, no, I'm just trying to keep everybody safe. But when you get to say, no, it's a mandate and you have to do it, then there's a little bit of cover for those small businesses that are still just trying to thrive and recover from the pandemic. So there's that. You guys know I open it up to questions, if that's okay, Landon, for just a second, if there's any like 3 or 4 questions just to spark what I'm trying to think that people might be interested in.
Everybody's muted. They can't unmute themselves because of some Zoom bombing. So we can do all questions in the chat is what we've been doing lately. So I'm hoping that we can do something different next month.
Not a problem. I'm really trying to think, Landon, is there anything that you can think of that I have missed or need to talk about?
I don't think so. How about we have Tim go, and maybe that'll spark something.
Perfect. Thanks, Landon.
All right, Tim.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Landon. Thanks, Sugar House, for having me on. Thank you, Council Member Fowler, for your report on the continuation of the mayor's mask wearing. You did such a great job covering it. I'm just going to include the emergency proclamation that she had initiated today, unless there's additional questions. But until the majority of the residents receive the vaccine and we see continued drops in contraction rates, then this will stay in place. So I'll just include that on the link. You may have heard last week also, Mayor Mendenhall came out and gave an overview of the American Recovery Act funding. President Joe Biden was able to get passed, and I wanted to say this while Ben McAdams was still online, but President Biden was able to pass the American Recovery Act, which deployed $87 million directly to Salt Lake City. And the mayor's outlined a strategy for spending those funds with 3 guiding principles that include equitable for the economic recovery, resident stability and opportunity, city services for employees and residents. And she will be conducting a major component of this planning for how the funds will be used through public engagement. So we'll be conducting a survey on that to follow up. We're just waiting to get the guidelines back from the Treasury Department, and then we'll put that survey together and put it out to the people. In addition to that, that came with additional funding for Utah rent relief assistance, and that will continue to the end of June 30th of 2021. So if you know or have family members or friends or neighbors that fall under circumstances that they need help with rent relief, That's still available now. And my understanding is you can even go back, back upwards to as far as 3 months. So that's available, and I will put that link in the chat. Another survey that the mayor's sponsoring with the support of Public Lands is the new master plan for public lands, and it's called Reimagine Nature. So it kicked off the 1st of April, and it's going to continue through May 7th. Public lands will, employees will be at city parks and trails and other open spaces to share information about what that master plan entails. You can also go to reimaginenatureslc.com and look at what that master plan is looking at, in addition to a survey that you can participate in and share what you'd like to see with the city in how we coordinate and collaborate with the future for city parks and trails and open space. And then one other thing we had, this happened just shortly after the Sugar House Community Council meeting last month. And so I don't know if a lot of you had heard or if the information got out, but our Governor Spencer Cox had issued an executive order for the drought that 90% of Utah is under. So last year we had the hurricane and the earthquake, and sadly this year we have a drought. But Mayor Mendenhall is asking all residents and businesses to take a few simple actions to start conserving now, and how we can prevent the need for moving to more restrictive stages and measures in the future. But we have a 5-stage water shortage contingency plan, and I will also put that in the chat. Last week, I believe it was last week, Thursday, Public Utilities came out with a 7-gallon water challenge, and they kicked it off saying that currently we, all of us collaboratively, in average use 147 gallons of water a day indoors. And if we can help conserve as little as 7 gallons of water a day through our use of indoor water, through bathing, cooking, laundry, toilets, shaving, brushing teeth, then we can save over 157 million gallons of water. So they've kicked that off and asked if you can help to participate in that 7-gallon water challenge. So those were the 4 things I had that I wanted to cover. If there's anything else I can answer questions to, and I appreciate Councilmember Fowler talking about the continuation of the mask use requirements for Salt Lake City. But if there's anything else we can answer or respond to, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for coming. Okay, let's go. We're
We
gonna
cover
go-
so many.
Yeah, go. What's that, Tim?
Well, you just cover so much in your agenda, Landon. I'm always amazed, but then spring comes and it just explodes. There's so many projects going on.
I'm amazed at
It's
how
incredible.
fast you type. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming. Lorena, you want to talk about the art walk?
I do. So the Sugar House Art Walk is this Friday from 5 until 8 p.m. We have a Facebook page and Instagram, so you can see the venues. We will have a map posted, although I think most of you probably know where most of the places are. And I just want to emphasize, this is really to support local business. The whole premise of the Art Walk is to put art in local business. There are a few galleries like Local Colors that are always there. But, after the pandemic and after winter, this is just the best time to get out and support. And we are also part of the Local First Utah Spring Stroll, and which is so great that Local First Utah is doing this. They're not charging the businesses to do this. So what a bonus for us. That goes for several weeks, and businesses that are participating have a passport that you can have scanned, and there's prizes at the end. So this is one of the best art walks to come to, for sure. And we'll try and be outside as much as we can, but I don't think it's going to be super warm. So wear a mask, please. And thank you all so much for your support.
Great.
Leanne.
Thank you. Thank you. And so just a reminder, Mayor Mendenhall is going to speak on the Monument Plaza at 12 on Friday for all that want to join. And thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the new people tonight, and we'll see you next month. Meeting adjourned. And we had